My name is Percy Jackson.
All right. So we have a ton of Sea of Monster press stuff to talk about.
I think it's so funny how much we
Yes.
like, as a fandom, we like the episode titles because
Yeah, so what's
they're from the book.
yeah, they're all from the book. What's interesting too is, and I forgot to bring my copy after I was like, oh, I can look at this while we were doing the pod. But I did send Shannon a picture that I'm sure she'll put on the YouTube version of this. The spread between what titles they use and where they show up in the book varies so much. So sometimes there will be like 2 or 3 chapters between, or sometimes it'll be like chapters in succession that are the episode names. So it kind of goes to show you that they're really sticking with where the action of the plot is, and that there's, of course, there tends to be some, especially in the middle, that are very, very action filled kind of chapters to where they're getting basically their own episode. I thought that was pretty interesting that it's spread out like that, especially considering like it seems like early on is where we see the bigger spreads. In the middle, they bunch up a little bit more, and at the end, we get kind of a little bit spread out again. So yeah, and how they're going to fit in multiple plot lines within that too is kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, I will say I remember when I watched season 1, I got so excited when I saw that all the episodes were named after the chapter titles. I did not know that, and when I watched season 1 until right when I was watching it, I'm like, oh my god, this is probably going to be really great, because what do you mean they named all the episodes after some of the fun chapter titles? So
Yeah.
I was honestly curious which ones they would choose for this one, because it's not as easy to guess as it would be for season 1, some of them. One thing that happened that I thought, I don't know, is interesting, I guess, but a lot of people saw what they named episode 5, which is We Check Into CC Spa and Resort, and then episode 6 is Nobody Gets the Fleece. And people, because of that, are assuming that the Siren Scene is and Cersei's Island is all in one episode. I would say, like, I would be surprised if it is, just because the Siren Scene doesn't take that long, I guess, but so I was thinking, like, they could do it in the 6th episode, and the way that it's talked about, at least I remember from the book, is that when the sirens happen is like right before they get to Polyphemus' island. And so it's like, that's part of why Percy is like, oh my god, I need to figure out how to stop this as soon as possible, because they're about to get there and they're almost there. And that's like the last thing that stops them a little bit before. Like, I remember there being some line about how they can like see Polyphemus' island from like Siren Bay or whatever it's called. So it's not impossible that they could do it in that episode. I guess the thing I was more just like, I don't know why everyone is just assuming this just because of the chapter titles, because there's just a lot more storylines happening this time. And so they could do, you know, Cersei's Island that doesn't have a roller coaster this time.
I think I get what Grover was so worried about.
And I'll never get over that. I swear to God, if anyone on the internet pops up and is like, the movie is better, I'm like, what part of this movie is better? Like, name one part of this movie that is better. I dare you. I dare you. Like, there's no part of the movie Sea of Monsters that is no. That movie is so stupid. There's just no.
Yeah.
I refuse to even entertain this thought. I need you to give me citations, and then also maybe think about the decisions you've made in your life, or you actually said that out loud, because that movie is complete just insanity. There's nothing that even resembles like a plot, really, at all. Like, it's just, they're just kind of like meandering around on the ocean. Like, there's a part in that movie where they tell Annabeth that she's smart for realizing that if they use like wind on the ocean, that they can get to where they're going faster. Like Percy
You mean
literally
what
tells her,
humans have been doing forever?
yeah, like Percy literally tells her like, oh my God, you're so smart and so cool. This is why you're so smart and an Athena child. And I was like, this is literally what people knew in like the 900 AD, that if you go on a boat on water and there's some wind near you, it will push you faster. Like, what do you, anyway. But the thing from that is they could do that and go to Cersei's island and then do the Siren Scene, but I feel like if they did, they wouldn't have time really to show anybody else because of how long showing that stuff would take. Like, the episodes for this season are all a lot longer. Like, we're definitely Disney's favorite child right now, which is fun to know that. Like, they put a new trailer. There's like one new scene in it that doesn't really mean anything, but still, they put a trailer for it before the Wicked for Good movie. That had to cost so much money.
Yeah.
For them to put a trailer for Percy Jackson, of all things, before a huge movie like that was going to be the #1 movie. Everyone knew that it was. They're just spending so much money promoting this show in the way that they didn't do as much in season 1, that they're excited for us, but it's still like every episode for this season is like 40-ish minutes, basically, like 40-45 minutes long. They all range a little bit in that like 5-minute range, but there are some episodes in season 1 that were like a half hour, and there's none of that stuff going on. Because this is a show and not just from Percy's perspective, they are going to want to show us stuff like that. And I can imagine that after we see a good amount of the episode of Percy and Annabeth really upset because they think that Tyson is gone, showing that he's okay at a certain point would be something that they would want to show the audience, because it just makes you so... I remember that in the rereading the book, in like our episodes about that, I was just like yelling, like, can they just get to Polyphemus' island so Percy can stop being so sad, so he knows that Tyson's alive? Because I can't handle this anymore of how much he's thinking about how sad he is because he thinks that Tyson is dead and never coming back. And so they're like watching it in episode by episode basis. That's going to happen to us as the audience. We're going to be like desperate for him to get there. Especially once they show us that he's okay. It's like similar in the way that they went back and forth between Grover's storyline with Ares and then Percy and Annabeth at Waterworld and stuff. I feel like that's kind of what they'll be doing. And so I don't know. Like, Cersei's island, I guess, doesn't take very long. But it still like takes long enough that I'm not sure that they could fit all of that in one episode while also giving the other characters time to show what they're doing too. The 7th episode being called I Go Down with This Ship, which is not like a super important chapter necessarily in the book. And so the the episode being called that, I thought was interesting, especially... This is like my obvious guess for right now. That's probably going to change a lot when we're actually watching the season. But my guess for right now, with the I Go Down with the Ship thing, is I feel like no matter what happens, like, I think right now that Luke somehow gets the Golden Fleece back, and that whether he just takes it from them when they're on Polyphemus' island, or he takes it in the same way that he does in the book, or tries to, but this time he's successful because Clarice is around and is on the Andromeda with them, fighting them and stuff. And I feel like in some way he gets it back, and that's why they have to go on there to steal it back and get back to camp. And so for me, when I see I Go Down with This Ship, it feels like them deciding to break on there and try to steal it back from him when there's no way they want to go on his ship and be around all of his monsters and stuff. Nobody wants to do that. Percy in the course of this whole thing is when he gets like shot by like an arrow by Allison. Like, you see something that looks like it's an arrow like injury while he's just like running down the hallway holding the Golden Fleece. He fights Luke when Luke is trying really super hard to just kill him. And he somehow finds a way to get away from him. And so, and it's just kind of a lot of, they wouldn't be doing that unless they felt like they had to. And they obviously have to get the Golden Fleece back from him. Not only because he's not going to save Thalia, but because he's going to use it to bring Kronos back like a loser. And so they really have to get it back from him. And then, but then also I go down with the ship thing. I feel like that might be more like a Luke thing, because one of the things we talk about all the time with Luke is that there's a lot of times where Luke could change his mind, but he chooses not to. And Rick Riordan also talks about that. Like one of my favorite quotes I ever found from him talking about Luke, 'cause it made it so clear, was him saying that one of the hardest things with people like Luke is that they have a lot of chances to like change their mind and redeem themselves, but they choose not to. And it's hard to watch somebody who has all those choices, those times where they could, but they just refuse to. And that is like kind of Luke's whole thing, is the end of this book especially is a time where he could stop. He loses, they get the Golden Fleece from him. He could sit there and think about like, what am I doing? They're trying to save Thalia's life, and I'm sitting here acting like Thalia would be on my side. But I'm trying to stop them from saving her just so I could bring back Kronos. That doesn't make any sense. Like, what do you mean? And like leaving her like that instead of letting her come back to life and live her own life and things like that. And so he could have moments like that at the end of this book. He clearly doesn't. He instead laughs at Percy when he's laying on the floor and tries to and ready to kill him. And so he doesn't have those moments. He rejects them when they're like possible, but they are possible in this book for him to do that. Like he's not like helpless to this path that he's on. That's kind of the thing about abusive people that nobody likes to acknowledge except for victims/survivors like us, that they're making a choice. They're not like, even if they've been manipulated by other people like he's been by Kronos, he has a choice. He can make a choice. He can decide that he doesn't want to do this anymore and take the consequences of his actions if he feels like he can't do it anymore. He's somebody that doesn't has those moments, but just basically ignores that they're happening and just keeps going. And so the scene from the trailer that we just saw, that they just put out, where he is talking to Kronos' super happy sarcophagus, and he's saying, and Kronos is telling him like, okay, you have to go kill Percy. Or he's saying like, go kill the son of Poseidon. I feel like that might be like how the episode ends. That it might end with them thinking that they got away, that they go back to camp and they're able to fix everything and everything will be fine. And then they show that to us as like the audience to show that it's not going to be fine. And I will say like the 7th episode ends with the in season 1 ends with the cliffhanger of him about to fight Ares. And the last episode starts up and shows us the fight with Ares right away, and then goes into the rest of the episode. And so I could see it being like that of us as like the audience, like knowing that Luke is on his way to find them until they realize that he's coming. And all those things happen. But either way, the I go down with the ship thing feels like both sides of them being like more sure about what they're doing. Because I will say that one of the things that Charlie said in interviews is that he's trying to convince Percy and Annabeth to join him. And when he gets to the end of the season and he realizes that they aren't going to change their mind, is when he's like, okay, I'm going to kill you now. And so that feels like that happening, of them being like, no, are you crazy? We're not okay with this. Even if your dad did horrible things to you, or my dad did bad things to me, or Athena is a horrible person and all these things, we're not gonna do that. And so it just feels like that, of them being more sure about their path, while he's like, you guys just don't understand why I need to be a murderer. And it ending like that. And who knows what the last episode is going to be like. I think it's funny that the only thing that anyone knows that's going to happen in the last episode is that Thalia is going to come back, and that's it. Like, we don't know anything else that's going to happen in the last episode but that one thing. And it's like, okay, what about the other, like, 40 minutes of that episode? No matter what, she's not going to come out wearing, like, a super clean-cut leather jacket this time, so that's always going to be a plus.
Who are you?
Percy, everything's all right. It's okay.
I had the strangest dream.
Yeah?
Like I was dying.
What's your name?
But yeah, I'm just I'm just really interested to see. It's really interesting to, like, we don't know that. Like, that's why it's hard for me to even, like, speculate too much about this episodes, because we don't know what's going to happen. And even the earliest ones, it just feels too hard to guess. Just with the episode titles, you can guess on, like, what they're fighting in certain episodes. But other than that, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be going on in this version where they can change stuff to make things better.
We're about 2 weeks out from the premiere, right? Like, trying to think what else. There's a bunch of people that have rewatch and reread schedules still, if you guys are interested in that. I don't know. It's kind of hard to know what to say until we know what's going to change. And even that, I'm just excited to see I'm just excited to see how they improve the story.
Yeah, and it'll just be, I think it's funny. Well, I said this on our thread sometime, that we did this the completely backwards way that most people do this. Like, I've noticed on TikTok that there's been some newer podcasts that have started. I've seen a couple, like 3 or 4 of them, that are starting doing episodes now. And I'm like, yeah, that's the way normal people do this, where they start doing podcasts like right before the new season starts. So they do it while the season's going on. No, we didn't do that. I didn't even watch the first season until the day of the last episode airing. And so we didn't start doing any podcast stuff until the season had been off the air for about a month. And so this is the first time in, like, almost 2 years that we'll be having new content come out. We've been making content without anything new actively actually happening, at least TV show wise, for almost 2 years now. And so it's like a fun, exciting thing to be able to experience it all with everybody at the same time, to be, like, watching it all with the fandom and with everyone just kind of talking about everything, all, like, overlapping each other. But that's the fun of things like this, is to be experiencing all of that together and see, like, what we were right about, what we weren't, how they change things in a way that is surprising. Like, watching the scene of Tyson and Percy hugging made me remember that, like, this is going to be, watching them do these scenes is going to be really emotional, because they're actually good actors and they actually are kids. And so it's going to, like, hit everybody harder than I think we're, like, used to these things happening, because we've all read the books. At least most of us have read them a long time ago. And so we just, like, know these things happen, but it's another thing to actually, like, watch it happen. And it's like, oh, damn. And so it'll be really fun, like, seeing all of that happen while the cast is they're putting out, like, they put out, like, the schedule. They're putting out a podcast for every episode. So the night of the premiere, there'll be 2 episodes and 2 podcast episodes out, like, that one night. And I'm like, can you not kill us? like I forget who, it's like Robert from the damn meme page was laughing at just about how every person doing podcasts is, like, panicking right now when they announce that they're doing podcast episodes too. But it's like, how are we going to keep up with all of this? It's like, not only new episodes, but new podcast episodes where the cast is talking about everything that just happened in them right afterwards. Like, oh my god. It'll be really fun, but it'll be fun watching it all. Yeah, it will be really fun seeing it all happen in real time, seeing, like, what theories everybody comes up with that is probably wrong, because the ones during the season usually are.